My hat! All right, so we're going to start assembling this vehicle, and let's just say you bought a kit. You bought a used car, and it was in pieces, or you took it apart, and now you're wondering, man, how do I assemble this? Well, start with the differentials. So the first thing, notice the orientation. The front one's going to go to your left, so this gear is just going to fall in there. This will go in here. Make sure everything rolls smoothly. Make sure there's plenty of grease. Do not use too much grease because grease will slow you down. If there's too much, it will create too much resistance. But if there isn't enough grease, you're going to destroy your gears. So make sure there's plenty, just not too much. Once you have this should seat. There should be no play. If there's a lot of play here, there's something wrong with your case. So you're probably going to have to get another differential case. But this, once you have these here, this should sit right on top, just like that. Should be no issues whatsoever. And then you just have 4 screws to install. These are my 4 screws. 1, 2. Let's install those. And I heard you say buckle my shoe. I heard it. All right. And then you just drive this in. Now I'm going to get them close. I'm not going to tighten them all the way until I have all 4 of them in place. But this would be the assembly. Some of you may actually be interested in just buying all the parts because maybe you want aluminum bell crank, you want a graphite shock tower. So sometimes it could be a better idea to just buy all the parts. Maybe you want the GTR shocks for the front and the rear. Maybe you just buy all the parts and then assemble the kit. Well, this is how you would do it. The reason why you would do that is you could buy the RTR and then replace everything, but then you're going to end up having a bunch of replacement parts for a whole car. You could almost assemble an entire car except for the hardware. That's the reason why, and the tub. But here we go. Now I'm going to start driving them all the way in. Go over here. And this one right over here. All right, and the rear you would assemble the same way. There's just 4 screws, and that would put it together. So now the bell crank would just slide in. There are bushings in the bottom. If you get the aluminum comes with bearings, which are nice. That's an upgrade I would consider. Unless you're running stock Fortec, then do not upgrade anything. It has to be stock. This here should just kind of click in place, and then all the screws are the same, so it will not matter. It's just 4 screws. I like to just set them. And I'm going to go ahead and tighten them close, but not fully. And then I'll come back and retighten everything here. Now, the Fortec is a heavy car. I do not remember how much it weighs, but it weighs over 2 kilos, which is pretty heavy considering most competition touring cars will weigh, I mean, the chassis alone is generally under 1 kilo, but I'm trying to remember how much my BD10 weighs. Before I put brass in it just to make it meet the weight, well, I'll give you an idea. VTA, it has to weigh at least 1.45 kilos. So you're looking at 1,450 grams. And I had to add weight to get to that weight. Before I added any weight, I think I was at about 1,280. So 1 kilo 28, 1,280 grams. Before brass, anything like that. And that's with a battery, body, everything on there. These things are over 2 kilos. So they are pretty heavy. But there we go. So we have this here. Now, the next thing I want to do, I actually want to assemble just the arms. So the pins are in there. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to grab a pin And the pin that I want, they thank God they happen to be the same size. All right, good, because I did mix them. But here we go. So I'm just going to drop the pin in first, and then once I drop the pin, the question is, which way does the arm go? Well, there's only two ways it can go. It either goes this way or this way. This is the wrong way, and you will quickly find out because, well, I mean, your shock's in the rear. But even if you were to mount it over here, the shock would be too high. And then this bridge will be in the way soon after. So just make sure that the angle is pointing down, right? So the shock screw should be on the lower part. And that is it. At this point, something that you may want to do is just put the bulkhead on. Sorry, the A block. Just drop that in place. So to assemble a kit, we're not going to follow the same orders before. I actually want to secure the arms first, but I cannot secure the arms until I place the bumper, because the bumper is actually what holds that A block. So here I have it. Now I'm going to need all of these screws. This was the top screw. These were the bottom screws. Remember, the shorter screw goes in the center. So that one will go there, this one here, this one here. So we're not following the exact reverse order if you saw the teardown videos, because the teardown videos were really to explain how to take certain components apart. Here we're reassembling. So I do recommend the bumper goes on first. We're just going to assemble the front of the car. And if you want to just put the body mounts on there, go for it. They will not get in the way of the assembly. So if you just want to get those pieces out of the way, just they're not laying about, go for it. Now, it's very easy to know which one the top one is because the top screw is not countersunk. It's just a regular screw. And here we go. And why not? Let's go ahead and install these. Now these are the exact same, so it doesn't actually matter if you mount them this way, mount them this way, or switch them up. The main thing that you want to do is just make sure that the holes are facing front to rear. And we're going to go stock setting, so we just need one hole exposed on the top. And then I'm going to drop the two screws. And then once I drop both of them, that's when I will go ahead and start installing this. So it's just this here and this one over here. That is that. All right. Now, at this point, the next best thing is to go ahead and install the front shock. The front shock, I'm going to go ahead and remove the lower screw. And I'm going to go ahead and put this in here. Now, it's if you look at them, it's the same, so it doesn't matter. It's not like the shocks on the Slash, where those little barrels actually have one of them has a flared out face. That flared out face goes toward the plastic, and the part that is not flared out, that's where the screw goes through. Not here, not on the Fortec. Fortec, it does not matter. So if you look at it there, it's uniform. Some of these may be a little longer on one side than the other. I mean, not on the Fortec, but on some RC vehicles, so you will have to pay attention. Fortec, don't worry about it. Here we go. So now I'm going to remove this one. And for the front, I am going to go stock setting, which is on the top, it's the inner holes. All right, there we go. Do not over tighten anything. There we go. Now, one thing, assemble everything with bearings first. So I'm going to go ahead and do this, place that there. If you really wanted to, which is what I like to do, I'll place this and then the bushing. That way this piece is set. So I grabbed the front carrier, I put the two bearings in there, I drove this little shaft, make sure that you installed that little shim, don't drop it, and then, as I said, there we go. So I'm going to hold it here with my finger, and then grab the pin, put the pin in there, and if you want, I mean, you could go ahead and just put the disc and everything, but these should clip on, and that's the only reason why I'm installing it, because I know these clip on, so this will hold it. So this is assembled. I will not install the caliper yet, although I could. Well, you know what? Never mind. I'll do it. Might as well. Here we go. And it's in the center hole. So there were 3 holes. I'm attaching it to the center hole, which is where it came stock. There we go. Right. So there's the front, and everything moves smoothly. That's really the best way to go about. At this point, now, one, notice that I installed everything, didn't put the dog bones. That's fine, don't worry about it. Just remove one of the screws here for the link. And then all you do is you just put the dog bone in one end, and you're going to have to rotate this until it fits. There we go. Once the dog bone is in there, just reattach the link. And that is it. So it's not a big deal if you forget to put the dog bones in. It's just a matter of removing the link and then just allowing the caster block to just fall. But there it is. So that is spinning. You can see it spinning. Good. So at this point, I'm not going to place the dog bone in there because it's a pain to do everything, but I will do the caster block. So the caster block, for now, I don't have to worry about these bushings. I'm just going to install this. So you place it in here and you line up those holes, right? It's going to go just like that. Well, it'd be easier if I showed it from the rear. Just like this. And there we go. Now, if the screws, these pins, if one side starts backing out, just like on Traxxas Slash, they're notorious for backing out, just flip the screw. So if this starts backing out, just install it from the other side and it'll be fine. Great. So the caster block is there. Now, one of the easiest things to do is just install the link here, but do not attach it over here yet. You cannot until the carrier is on. But you can install it to the differential case. There we go. That is it. So at this point, it's easier if you hold it sideways just so that the bushings do not fall out. So I'm going to install actually this is the top bushing because I left the bottom bushing there. But if I install this top bushing and then just hold it, now I can place the dog bone in there because I'm about to put the front carrier. And there we go. So now that it's sat, I will grab this and just make sure that the dog bone goes in where it's supposed to. You may have to rotate this. There we go. And then just drop it in, make sure the bushing is still there. Now, as you notice how I'm holding everything, do not flip this over, your bushing will fall out. I shall just grab this screw, place it here, and I'm trying to find the hole, there it is. Now I can install the top completely. Do not over tighten these. If you over tighten them, your car will not steer properly. All right, now I can flip it this way, and there's the bushing. You can just drop the bushing in there, or if you had it in the screw, you could have dropped them both together. Doesn't matter. And then with your driver, just make sure it's in the correct position. And it should be quick, really, for the screw to find its position. And then just tighten, and again, snug. Do not over tighten this. But we're almost finished with the front end. Now, you just remove this over here. And the link goes at the bottom. And you will be able to figure out that the link goes at the bottom because it needs to be straight. I'm not sure if you can see. Well, here. So from there to here, that has to be straight. If you were to put it on the top, I will show you in a bit. Your links for steering, instead of being flat like this, if you put it on the top, they would be up like this. And then once you start, well, first you would notice that it will not sit properly, so your toe would be off, but then your car is not going to steer and handle properly either. But that is it for the front end. It just needs to be attached to the car now, but we're going to work on the rear first. I will catch you on that one. Thanks for watching.